it's time to take a look at the Vessels of Wrath detachment, a brand new way to run the World Eaters. In this detachment review, we're going to take a look at the stratagems, the enhancements, and also some key combinations that will make this detachment work. This detachment allows us to pick Blessings of Khorne for our units in our army, picking the best abilities that we need each battle round for our units. Join us in this review and let's see if this detachment is the new way to run World Eaters competitively.
Coming up is going to be an overview of the brand new detachment that Games Workshop have been releasing for Warhammer 40,000. We're going to look at whether this detachment is going to be a competitive choice, whether it's going to be one that's more flavorful and narrative, and maybe something that you might want to consider trying yourself, or alternatively, what you need to know and look out for if you're going to be playing against some of these new detachments. Now, to take things a little bit further on our members page, and if you want to become a YouTube member, the link's going to be in the description. You are going to get a list for this detachment, something that's super competitive, super flavorful, and we're going to make the most of what we can do with this detachment. Now, as we always say, we will try and help you use the models that you own, and we're going to give you some top combos that you can introduce into your list to really make the most of them. Now, not only that, but you're also going to get loads of additional members content, whether it's our live members lounge where you can get your questions answered, or even dictate our games that we play on streams on Fridays. And on our masterclass series, we go one step further. We show you the list, we show you how to deploy it, and we also show you some advanced tactics. And the best thing about that is that you're going to understand exactly how every single faction plays in the game of Warhammer 40,000, so you don't get caught out at the tabletop. We're all about helping you feel like you're able to compete at the table, and knowing all that information is going to be one of those steps to ensure that you don't get gotcha momented. So enjoy this detachment overview, and we really, really hope and look forward to your feedback and some of the best ways to play this detachment.
The Vessels of Wrath detachment is here for the World Eaters as part of the Grotmas calendar from Games Workshop. Thank you, of course, to Games Workshop for allowing us this preview access so we can talk about this excellent new way to play World Eaters. Jordan, you're an eater of worlds. What do we get from this detachment?
So for this detachment, we get the Wrath of Khorne detachment ability. So this is going to be a really different way of running your World Eaters, actually. And what we get is we get to pick up to 3 units or models in our army at the start of each battle round. And these models will then become Vessels of Khorne, effectively. Okay. And they get that keyword, the Vessels of Khorne keyword.
Right.
So what we can do is that the 3 is actually a strike force number, so just to clarify, if you're playing anything else, it might be a bit different. Okay. But for Strike Force, we get to pick 3.
And what models can we pick?
So we can pick Exalted 8-bound champion, an 8-bound champion, a Berserker champion, a World Eaters character model, or a World Eaters Demon Prince model.
Okay, so basically, the champion of any unit we've got, bar Jackals.
Bar Jackals.
I'm a little disappointed we can't pick a Spawn.
Can't pick a Spawn. They're not Vessels, unfortunately.
I think
they've had too much given to them at that point. Also to note, you can't give it to Epic Heroes. So you can't give it to Angron, you can't give it to Khan or Lord Invocatus.
Okay, so they're epic enough as it is.
Yeah, they're already Vessels of Khorne enough, right? They can't have any more, right? Greedy. But basically, what we get to do for these units is we get to pick one of the Blessings of Khorne available to us, and they get that. They just get to pick it.
They just get one?
They just get one.
So question then, is it you pick one and they all have it, or can you pick individual ones per vessel?
So you get one and it affects all Vessels of Khorne in your army. So you could go for Advance and Charge, and all 3 units get to Advance and Charge then.
Yeah, I think that's the one that you're probably going to see the most, right? Because it's a 4/4+ or a 6/6.
Yeah.
So you're not always going to roll that.
No, you're not. But I think just giving Advance and Charge to 3 of your main bricks in your army is just fantastic, right? But the fact you get to pick this every battle round, and you do get the Blessings of Khorne that you roll in addition to this.
So you can have Feel No Pain, you can have +2 move. Yeah. You can have this, or I guess you could have sustained hits maybe instead of like the +2 move.
Yeah, and I think actually sustained hits or lethals potentially might make up for the fact that you don't get the +1 strength and attack from the previous detachment rule.
Of course, easy to miss, but of course the Blessings of Khorne is the army rule for World Eaters. The detachment rule is +1 strength and attack on the charge.
The strength thing is here or there, right? We've already said how good +1 strength can be in certain situations, but the main thing we're missing is +1 attack. Because that obviously doubles down on our efficiency, is obviously the extra attack. But like you said, we can literally guarantee that our 3 best units in our army can just get that the abilities that they need at the time.
Okay. Which of these models do you see getting these the most?
8-bound. I think this is the 8-bound detachment in all fairness, I think, because you're picking these abilities, your 8-bound are already a staple to a World Eaters list, but now you could just go for any of these really strong abilities and just guarantee it, and then you can obviously roll and get whatever else you need just to double up on top of that.
Okay, fantastic. And then if we're leaning into 8-bound, you see the Demon Prince coming into
I think
the
when we come into the enhancements, there's definitely a really good enhancement for Demon Prince. And actually a lot of the stratagems affect Demon Prince and mounted models as well.
Oh, nice.
So there is quite an emphasis actually on the Demon Prince in this detachment.
Right.
So there's going to be some really cool combos we can do when we come to all these combos with the stratagems and enhancements.
Okay, fantastic. Well, overall detachment rule seems pretty good.
I mean, it's a very good one. You're guaranteeing blessings.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very strong detachment ability. Will it be better than the other detachment? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, at this stage, detachment rule, flat as it is, I would say, I mean, it's kind of better because you can get sustained hits, right, which kind of makes up for the extra attack.
The one thing the World Eaters lack is reroll.
Both.
Yeah, that you can't have both. If you could have both, it'd be insane, right? But the only way to get reroll hits really is Angron. So to get the most out of sustained or lethal, you really need that aura to reroll hits to fish, right? Whereas sustained hits on its own might just be give you a couple of extra hits, but it's not really making up for misses, is it?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, interesting. So enhancements then, what have we got available for the Vessels of Khorne?
The first enhancement is Arch Slaughterer.
Ah, they're really bad at architecture.
So this enhancement, it gives you +1 AP on the bearer's melee weapons. But if you are a Vessel of Khorne, you also get +1 damage.
Oh, well, you're always a Vessel of Khorne.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not even a question.
Yeah, so you probably your Master of Execution is the best one here.
Can you pick units in transports?
Yes, so Vessel of Khorne, you can pick units in transports as well.
Okay.
So I think they thought of that because obviously the Rhino is a staple of a World Eaters list as well. But yeah, you can definitely do that, and also
flat 3 damage.
Flat 3 damage
I was thinking flat 3 damage on an 8-bound, but of course this is character only still.
Yes, this is the
I
enhancement.
was getting carried away. Right.
No,
okay.
no.
So Master of Executions.
Yeah, Master of Executions and Demon Prince.
Demon Prince. Right. Okay. Is there any consideration for the flying one?
No, I don't think we ever look at it. I think in comparison what the Demon Prince on foot offers you, I think it's just better. But in all honesty, I think you just put it on a Master of Executions, this one. I mean, we've seen this already in the other detachment with the Berserker Glaive, how good the +1 damage is on a Master of Execution there.
Yeah.
It's just that again, but you have to obviously make sure it's always going to be the Vessel to get the +1 damage.
What about a Juggernaut Lord?
I mean, it still makes some flat 3 damage. It's good. It's not bad. The extra AP is actually really good there. I think we've said this again across pretty much all of our detachment reviews where we have these style of enhancements.
Yeah.
They're usually very, very good if you can get them.
Okay.
But it's just if you have points, maybe put it on there. But I think the staple you'll just see it on a Master of Execution.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just concerned because obviously currently points for them, they're very expensive.
They are expensive.
But I guess we'll see when it comes to the list what the options are.
The next one is Vox Diabolus. I thought it was Diablos. I thought we were speaking Spanish, but clearly we're not. Okay, what this enhancement does is it lets our bearers unit, when they kill an enemy unit, they can get a CP on a 4+. If they're a Vessel of Khorne, they get +1 to the roll, so on a 3+.
Okay. I mean,
cool.
Extra command points.
You don't really get that with World Eaters.
No, we'll have to see what the stratagems are to really make use of this. But even some of the core stratagems, having them to hand, like go to ground, is great. Obviously, any of the CP rerolls can be really handy for charges. So having more CP is always going to be a good thing.
Okay, well, the Hulk is here. The Avenger's Crown is the next enhancement. And basically, you get Fight on Death on a 2+ for the bearer.
Okay, Fight on Death 2+ for the bearer. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. What I like is that you could have Khan.
Yeah.
And you can still make Khan's unit a Vessel because you have the champion in the unit. Or you can run Khan solo, and then you could have a Master of Executions, and you've got 2 characters there that can run in and fight on death. Yeah,
I mean, it's just like, the only thing is with Fight on Death, if it's really only good against melee factions, right? It's not really something that's, you're probably going to see it in maybe 5 to 6 games out of all the 26 factions you probably play against, right? It's not it's a very situational enhancement to take. Saying that, I'd probably rather just take the CP potential and definitely the damage potential. And the next enhancement we're definitely looking at over this one. So it's not something, I think the Avengers Crown, we'd probably just leave that on the throne and we'd leave that to the side for now.
Fair enough, fair enough.
The next is Gateways to Glory. Now this is very, very strong.
Angron's new album.
That's a good one. Fair play. I'd buy that. So basically, it goes on a Demon Prince model or a mounted model, so your Juggernaut Lords. And effectively, what this character can then do is walk through terrain and models as if they weren't there. And it can go within engagement range of enemy units. It just can't end within engagement range of enemy units.
Bearer's unit as well?
Just a bearer.
Just a bearer.
Just a bearer. So you can literally get a Demon Prince walking through terrain and models. You can't move, block it. Similar with the Juggernaut Lord as well. We use the Juggernaut Lord as well to make like Berserkers or 8-bound potentially move a bit faster. So it means that he could still go through an enemy unit and still get the most movement out of that model rather than going around it. But it's just I think it's more focused for the Demon Prince. And I think is a very, very strong enhancement to put on him.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I think from a rules writing perspective, this is here to allow those mounted units to join your 8-bound and actually still go through the walls.
Yes.
I think as a thing we have with the Index is you would never lead with the Lords, Invocatus, or the Juggernaut Lord. They'd always go separately, and both because they're expensive and you have more assets that way, but also because you'd be stuck behind walls. So that's really nice, but I completely agree with the Demon Prince now giving your 8-bound 4-up invulns, being able to move through walls, still got access to things like advance and charge, especially if you make them a vessel.
Yeah.
This is, auto take.
Yeah, definitely. So overall, the enhancements, we've got some really good ones. Definitely putting the damage in there, and you're definitely putting the Demon Prince walking through walls. Like you said, if you wanted to have a Juggernaut lead your 8-bound, it does give you reroll charges and advances, so that's quite nice. Especially if you give them reroll or advance and charge. Yeah. It's quite a nice little combo there. But like we said, Demon Prince. And then if you have spare points, the CP one.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're not looking at the Fight on Death on 2+.
Yeah. I think the difficulty with World Eaters has always been, do you even take the characters that are not named? The Demon Prince makes a lot of sense, and that's kind of an auto pick for this army. But whether you even bother taking Master of Executions or the Juggerlords, that's kind of
you rarely saw the Juggernaut Lords, and I think it also depends. There's 2 builds for World Eaters: Angron or no Angron. So if you take Angron, you basically taking one other or 2 other characters really. If you don't take him, then maybe you take 2 or 3, and then you spam the rest of 8-bound and the rest of the World Eater models, right? So the archetype list doesn't change for World Eaters with this detachment. What it allows us to do is actually get more out of the characters and still have that really crazy souped up Berserker glaive character, but have maybe our Demon Prince be a bit more effective on a tabletop and generate CP as well, which is nice.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so we've talked about which ones we'd probably take in the list. What stratagems do we have available for this detachment?
The first stratagem is 1 CP and it's called Aspire to Infamy.
Okay.
So
it's like Steve in the Death Guard community.
Exactly, but he has already achieved infamy there. So basically what we get to do is we can pick a Jackals unit or a Berserker unit that is within 8 inches of a character, and they can effectively get +1 AP for non-character models in the unit. So all of the unit models in the unit will then get an extra AP, but if there's a character attached, they're not going to get the extra AP.
Okay, so you could have your Jackals, you could have your Demon Prince or your Lord Invocatus, whatever it might be. Use this stratagem, and then you pick 1 Jackals unit. It's going to get the extra AP.
Or Berserker unit.
Or Berserker unit. And when is this done?
It's done in the fight phase. And it lasts until the end of the fight phase.
Okay, cool. So you can have a character move up with them, and then you're going to get extra AP in combat. This is a great improvement, actually, for the output of Jackals and Berserkers. Yeah,
I mean, you could even have the character that's attached to the unit. So the character that is attached to the unit can go, well, I need my boys to hit a bit harder, so I'm going to give them +1 AP. So it just, like you said, it's just improving the efficiency of Berserkers. However, we don't get the +1 attack from the original detachment. That would have been really nice. I think that's something that we miss in the Index detachment is the AP buffs. So having that here, it's a nice to have.
Yeah, and the bigger the unit, the more you're going to feel that loss. So 10 Jackals now will feel a lot worse in this detachment because you've lost 10 attacks. And the same goes for Berserkers, but less so perhaps the 8-bound.
Yeah. The next is Overshadowed by None. Okay.
That's like Jake.
It's like Jake, he's overshadowed by none of us.
It's just too handsome.
Too handsome, but it's 1 CP. Basically, what this unit gets, so you get to pick a Demon Prince, a Mounted, or an Infantry World Eaters unit, and they can reroll wounds against monsters and vehicles.
Great, 1 CP reroll wounds against the things that you might find the hardest to kill.
I mean, it works on 8-bound.
Yeah, I mean, this again, you don't necessarily need Angron because you're able to actually deal with some of these units because you've got the rerolls. So that's really, really nice. And your regular 8-bound can get a lot out of this because they don't have the twin linked that some of the exalted 8-bound get.
They do give reroll 1s, normal 8-bounds to wounds, but this just means that you don't need that aura for them as well. So it maybe you probably just see more exalted in this detachment rather than the original 8-bounds, just to get the most out of them because their damage potential is a lot better. Also, they have the higher strength. So they're not really missing the +1 strength either from the index detachment. So because you can obviously go with your chain glaives or your chain fists. And they're probably re-rolling wounds on them is going to be really good.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Yeah, good stratagem. What's next?
Next up is Gory Dedication. This is 1 CP. And when our World Eaters model has killed an enemy model on an objective marker, we can sticky that objective marker and it will remain under our control until our opponent has enough OC to take it off us.
Model. Okay, cool. So you just kill one model.
And then you sticky the objective.
And you can sticky the objective. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. It's not quite as good, in my opinion, as sticking an objective when your unit dies.
No.
I think that's very good in certain matchups. Being able to stick it when you kill someone on it, though, is still good. Because in the middle of the board, let's say, that's normally a kill zone. Your opponent might put a unit on there to do an action, or they might put a unit in front of your front line to try and block you, because that's usually what happens to World Eaters players. And then you have to kill that unit with something. So now you can kill that unit with, let's say, it might be Jackals, it might be Berserkers, whatever it is. And because they're across the middle of the front of that side of the board, they'll be on the objective. You can now stick that objective marker. Your opponent has to now put assets forward to deal with it. They can't just shoot you.
The next one is for 1 CP, Punish the Craven, not Craven the Hunter. And basically, what happens here is in your opponent's movement phase, when they're selected to fall back, you can force them to take Desperate Escape tests if they're within engagement range of a Demon Prince unit or a World Eaters infantry unit. And if you are a Vessel of Khorne, the test is done at a -1.
Okay, so if you're in combat with a Demon Prince or World Eaters infantry, you have to take Desperate Escapes.
Yes.
If there's a Vessel of Khorne involved, then you take them at -1.
Yep.
So on 1, 2, or 3 a model is destroyed. Is there a restriction to do with vehicles and monsters?
Yes, so it can't be done on monsters and vehicles. Yeah.
Okay,
that would have been very strong. Yeah.
Emotional. That's great. And obviously Exalted 8-bound have that aura of leadership tests, or you can't fall back at all.
Yes.
So you could see if they pass the test and then use the stratagem.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's one of those deterrents that you have as World. I mean, World Eaters obviously want to get in combat. We want to get stuck in and just tie up as many units as possible. So once we've killed something and we get into consolidate into another enemy unit, we're hoping to stay there, right? So that's what your 8-bound hopefully, or your Exalted 8-bound hopefully do. And if they don't, now you've got this extra layer of potentially stopping your opponent or killing your opponent when they do run away. Yeah,
okay. Fantastic. I mean, this is a great stratagem. This is going to be really painful for those infantry-focused armies, or mounted, I suppose.
Especially elite ones.
Yeah, exactly. Custodes is a great example of someone who does not want to have to lose models on 1, 2, or 3.
No, sorry, Wardens.
So yeah, this is a good stratagem.
For 1 CP, we've got Meet Force with Force. This is basically, we get Blood Surge on all of our infantry, our Demon Prince, or mounted units for 1 CP.
So we pick one of them.
Yeah, after we've been shot.
Okay.
In your opponent's shooting phase, you can essentially surge D6 inches. So obviously you've just got to apply to the normal restrictions to surge moves as per the FAQ changes for it. However, this is a very strong ability to have in the bag. Yeah,
this is a very strong ability. Very difficult to have to play around. You're going to have to stay 7 inches away from any of these units, which now means that if a... so great example here. Your 8-bound have killed an enemy unit on an objective. You've done Gory Dedication to make it now sticky. Your opponent, in order to take that objective off you, has to move on to it. But they're going to be easily within the 7 inches of a Blood Surge move. So now, if you shoot them, they hit you in combat.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I think what this detachment does really well, we've seen quite a few stratagems now that really want to keep you in combat and force your opponent to get in combat with you as well. So there's quite a few shenanigans and tricks that you can pull in this. The normally World Eaters armies are very honest, right? They're very like, we just run at you and we do one thing. Whereas this, it does have some cool like tricks we can play, which is nice to see.
So what's our final stratagem?
The final one is Brazen Contempt. So for 1 CP, we can select one of our World Eaters units has been selected as a target of a shooting attack, and we can -1 to the wound roll if the strength is higher than our toughness. However, if we're a vessel of Khorne, it's just -1 to wound.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just -1 to wound.
-1 to wound for shooting. And it can go on any World Eaters unit.
Okay, so you could have it on Angron, but because he can't be a vessel because he's an epic hero, because he's epic, it'd have to be higher than his toughness.
Yeah.
Which las cannons and
Well, this is
so
it.
on.
Like, he is
Yeah.
only toughness 11, right?
Yeah, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
But toughness 6, 8 bound?
Toughness 6, 8
Just
pounds.
-1 to wound? That's horrible.
Yeah, really good.
Like,
Really
if
good.
you're shooting, you know, even strength 6 stuff at them, 5s to wound now.
Yeah.
And you tend to reach that strength 6, 5 or 6. Yeah, that is pretty grim.
Yeah, honestly, like I genuinely feel like this is an amazing stratagem to have for World Eaters.
Yeah.
And what I think we're really looking at here as well is when you're picking your Vessel of Khorne units, you really got to decide what you want them to do and what their goal is for that end of that turn.
Yeah, you got the big picture.
You got a big picture, right? So you need to know, right, so I'm going to take this objective. I might do my tricksy play where I maybe stick to the objective. We could Blood Surge. But my opponent might actually start to... You could combo this with a Blood Surge, potentially.
Yeah, you could, because you might think, OK, well, my opponent's got this big thing.
Yeah.
It will probably wipe my squad in one go. So what I'm going to do is now that, because I know this is a Vessel of Khorne unit, I can make them -1 to wound, which means I definitely will have the opportunity to Blood Surge because I have models left.
Yeah, yeah.
And suddenly that objective is still mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some forward planning in here,
Definitely.
which I really, really like.
Yeah, I think for World Eaters, like it's something that kind of put me off playing the faction a little bit was it was very one-dimensional. Whereas I do think, I mean, it's still going to be very one-dimensional in the fact it's just melee, right? That's all we've got here, and that's all it should be. That is World Eaters, but we're still going to. We've got tricks in this detachment that we probably couldn't really pull off in the Index detachment. The main one that you probably really saw was you'd kill a unit at the end of you'd pick 2 blessings from your roll that you know you needed in that instance, and then kill something and get a defensive ability until your next turn, right? So you pick Feel No Pain at the end of yours. That's like the basic trick you could do with that detachment. Here we've got about 3 or 4 different tricks we can pull off, and it's quite refreshing actually for a World Eaters army. Yeah,
they're all very impactful choices. Further to that, actually, that stratagem for doing the extra blessings roll, I think without that available, I'm not sure we take Angron. He doesn't get a lot out of this detachment anyway.
Yeah, agreed.
So not being able to try and get him back an additional time per turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we see Angron.
No, but the thing is,
we don't need to.
You don't need to see Angron. I think, like we said at the start, there's 2 different ways of playing World Eaters, with or without him, right? And it depends on the flavour of your pick. If you just love Angron, then you obviously will probably take the Index detachment. But if you want to try something different, then this 8-bound spam list is going to be amazing in this detachment, because you just pick 3 units of 6 or 3 Exalted 8-bound and just go, you just do what you want.
Yeah.
And you get to the combats you need to, potentially, and stuff like that. So it's a very different way of playing it. I'm excited to see it on the tabletop.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. All right, do you think you yourself will try the World Eaters out?
I think I would try this one for sure, because like I said, I was put off playing World Eaters because their detachment, for me, it did feel very kind of stale. And in comparison to Blood Angels, it was very similar, but Blood Angels had a bit more tricks.
Yeah.
This offers me a bit more tricks and stuff I can pull off in this.
There's more room to grow skill-wise as a player.
Absolutely.
Which I always love to see in a detachment.
Yeah.
So we've got a list, haven't we?
We do.
Which was a team effort. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we've got in the list. That is obviously going to be on our member side of things. So you can sign up to be a member using the link in the description below. If you've got some awesome combos or perhaps some list ideas of your own, you can always pop them in the comments or over on our Discord. But with that, thank you, George, for running through that with me.
No, thank you.
And we'll see you in the next video.